Good evening everyone. I'm the storyteller and I'm here to help you today. I know you use this video to fall asleep, so before that, like the video and subscribe to the channel. Also, where are you from and what time are you watching now? Get comfortable and relax. The Eye in the Storm by Black Hollow Stories. The Watcher in the Sky ****. The storm came without warning. One moment, the village of Black Hollow was bathed in the golden light of a fading autumn afternoon. The next, the sky turned the color of bruised flesh, and the wind began to howl like a wounded animal. The first drops of rain fell heavy and cold, slapping against the cobblestone streets and rattling the windows of the old stone cottages. By nightfall, the storm had swallowed the world. The villagers huddled in their homes, listening to the relentless roar of the wind and the creak of ancient trees bending under its force. The power flickered, then died, plunging the village into darkness. Candles were lit, their feeble glow barely piercing the oppressive black. And then, someone saw it. A faint, pulsing light in the sky, visible through the cracks in the storm clouds. At first, it was dismissed as a trick of the eye, a hallucination born of exhaustion and fear. But as the hours passed, more people saw it. A single, massive eye, glowing with an otherworldly light, staring down at the village from the heart of the storm. It wasn't human. It wasn't alive in any way they could understand, but it was watching. The first night Maggie Carter stood at her kitchen window, her breath fogging the glass as she stared out into the storm. The wind screamed like a banshee, rattling the shutters and sending debris skittering across the street. Her husband, Tom, was upstairs trying to calm their 6-year-old daughter, Lily, who had been crying since the power went out. "It's just a storm, sweetheart," Maggie whispered to herself, though the words felt hollow. She'd lived in Black Hollow her entire life, and she'd never seen a storm like this. It felt wrong. Her gaze drifted upward, toward the churning clouds. That's when she saw it. A faint, golden glow, pulsing like a heartbeat. At first, she thought it was lightning, but it didn't flicker or fade. It grew brighter, more defined, until she could make out the shape, a massive, unblinking eye, staring down at the village with an intensity that made her stomach churn. "Tom," she shouted, her voice trembling. "Tom, come here." Her husband appeared at the top of the stairs, his face pale in the candlelight. "What is it?" "There's something in the sky," she said, unable to tear her eyes away from the glowing orb. "An eye. It's watching us." Tom joined her at the window, his breath catching as he saw it too. For a long moment, they stood in silence, the only sound the relentless pounding of the rain. "It's just the storm," Tom said finally, though his voice lacked conviction. "A trick of the light, that's all." But Maggie wasn't convinced. She could feel the eye's gaze like a physical weight, pressing down on her chest. It wasn't just watching, it was waiting. The whispering wind by morning, the storm showed no signs of abating. If anything, it had grown worse. The wind had torn shingles from roofs and uprooted trees, blocking the narrow roads that led out of the village. The phone lines were down, and the radio emitted nothing but static. Black Hollow was cut off from the world. The villagers gathered in the town hall, their faces drawn and anxious. The eye was all anyone could talk about. "It's a sign," old Mrs. Hargrove croaked, her gnarled hands clutching her walking stick. "A sign of the end times." "Don't be ridiculous," snapped Mayor Grayson, though his usual bluster was undermined by the dark circles under his eyes. "It's a weather phenomenon, nothing more." But no one believed him. They'd all seen the eye. They'd all felt its gaze. As the day wore on, the unease grew. People began reporting strange sounds, whispers in the wind, voices calling their names. Some claimed to see shadows moving in the corners of their vision, only to vanish when they turned to look. Maggie tried to stay calm for Lily's sake, but even her daughter had started acting strangely. The little girl spent hours staring out the window, her small face pale and drawn. "What are you looking at, sweetheart?" Maggie asked, kneeling beside her. "The man in the storm," Lily whispered, her voice barely audible over the howling wind. Maggie's blood ran cold. "What man?" Lily pointed to the window, her finger trembling. "He's standing in the rain. He's looking at me." Maggie followed her daughter's gaze, but all she saw was the storm. The first disappearance that night, the first villager vanished. Old Mr. Pritchard, who lived alone in a crumbling cottage on the edge of the woods, failed to show up for the morning meeting at the town hall. When a group of men went to check on him, they found his front door wide open, the interior of the house in disarray. There was no sign of Mr. Pritchard. The discovery sent a wave of panic through the village. People began locking their doors and windows, though they knew it was futile. If the storm wanted in, it would find a way. Maggie and Tom tried to keep life as normal as possible for Lily, but the strain was beginning to show. Tom spent hours pacing the house, his face pale and drawn, while Maggie jumped at every creak and groan of the old building. And then there were the dreams. Maggie began having vivid, terrifying dreams of the eye. In her dreams, it wasn't just watching, it was speaking to her, its voice a low, guttural rumble that echoed in her bones. "You cannot hide," it said. Asterisk, "I see you." Asterisk, she woke screaming, her heart pounding, only to find Lily standing at the foot of the bed, staring at her with wide, unblinking eyes. "The man in the storm says hello," the little girl whispered. To be continued. What would you do if you found yourself trapped in a village with no escape, watched by an unblinking eye in the sky? Would you try to fight back, or would you succumb to the growing madness? Comment below with your thoughts, and don't forget to watch the next chapter to find out what happens to Maggie, Tom, and Lily as the storm tightens its grip on Black Hollow. Stay tuned for the eye's hunger.